Take a look at your fines. You've got two violations on your fines here, and one of them says failure. It's very difficult to read, might I add, but one of them says basically failure to wear a face covering.
So basically, they had said my mask was not appropriate, and and they said if you don't wear the correct masks, that they're going to be calling the RCMP. They had offered me one of their medical masks, and I refused to wear that mask because I told them I already had a mask.
We're seeing it time and time again. It's getting a little bit scary. I'm here with Victor Mihik today, who just wanted to work out and exercise. Right now in British Columbia, you are able to do so. Gyms are open. And he was wearing a face mask, but somehow still ended up being fined and arrested. Now, Victor, thank you so much for being on Rebel News today. This just crazy. Now, so this was Planet Fitness in Nanaimo where this happened, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, yeah, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just working out like I normally do any given day. I was following all the rules and wearing my mask as usual. And nobody had said anything for the last 2 months. And all of a sudden that day, they decided to make it an issue that I wasn't wearing a proper face covering.
On average, how often did you go to this gym?
I would be going 4 times a week.
Okay, so you were a regular there. And did you have a good relationship with the people that worked there before this, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you go in and did you walk in without a mask and then put it on later, or tell us what happened?
No. I followed always the regulations, which we had to have a face covering before we entered the building, which have been. So that was never an issue either.
So at what point, like, how were you told that you're not complying with the mask rule at that gym?
They said that my mask wasn't appropriate. And I had mentioned that, everybody wears different masks at that gym.
Yeah.
Some had medical masks, some had homemade masks, some had bandanas, some had all sorts of different types of masks. And I pointed out there is no laws or regulations of what type of masks that you have to wear.
Right. And so were you wearing the mask or the face covering? We can look at it right here. So it's kind of similar to a bandana sort of face covering, right? And were you wearing that while you were exercising, or were you taking it off to exercise? Or
never take it off. The rules of the gym had changed recently before then, about a week previous, that face coverings were mandatory during your exercising.
well, that goes completely against what the World Health Organization says on their Facebook page. They say that you should not wear face coverings when you are exercising. It can make it difficult to breathe, but nonetheless, you complied. You didn't even have an issue covering your face. And when we look at our mandate in BC for face coverings, there is absolutely no regulation on what you can cover your face is. I've worn this mask here. It's a Trump mask. I wore that into a store once, and you know what? It was the standard rules. But you were doing, like you said, what many people had done before. And so what happened? You were told, okay, that's not the right mask. And then how did you respond to it? How did it go from you being told the mask you're wearing is all of a sudden not correct to law enforcement showing up?
So basically, they had said my mask was not appropriate, and and they said if you don't wear the correct masks, that they're going to be calling the RCMP. They had offered me one of their medical masks, and I refused to wear that mask because I told them I already had a mask. And there was never an issue in the last 2 months until now. And so they decided to single me out. And so I had waited about 20 minutes, and all of a sudden I had the RCMP, and very aggressively, I might add, asking me why I wasn't wearing a mask, as I do them with a mask on.
Yeah, that is perhaps the most bizarre thing about this? Let's take a look at your fines. You've got 2 violations on your fines here, and one of them says failure. It's very difficult to read, might I add, but one of them says basically failure to wear a face covering. We've interviewed a specialist on Rebel News before who told us specifically the differences on how you can be protected to some degree with proper masks. And most people are walking around with random pieces of material on their face or a beard, and it's all open here, and it's certainly just not doing its purpose.
And I could really understand too if, if a business had regulations and rules about what type of, and I had taken photos of all the rules and regulations about masks and that at that business, and was none. All it says that you had to wear a mask, not what type of mask or anything like that. So, and it was always never an issue, like I say, for 2 months, and just happened to be that day. Maybe they were in a bad mood or whatever, but they decided to single me out and eliminate me and the mask that I was wearing.
Yeah, that's got to be embarrassing too. Now, there's short footage of the officer's interaction with you. Who's filming that?
Well, I knew they were coming, and I asked my friend to document for me.
Okay.
So sort of recourse legally, and hopefully using that in court of law.
Okay. And so the other violation you have is for basically not following the order of law enforcement. So what's your side of the story there?
Well, basically, I was questioning and asking the officer for clarification, and he kept insisting that I was not wearing a mask. And I said, I am wearing a mask. This is that I've been using for the last 2 months at this gym. And why is it all of a sudden an issue? He didn't want to hear any of it. He just said, basically, if you're not going to wear a proper mask, that, you're going to be under arrest. And I kept questioning him for about, I would say about 10 minutes of, why, and this is not right. And I pointed out to the officer that, there is many people in this gym, as you can see right now, that are wearing all different types of masks, and there is not an issue with them. And that it wasn't fair that that he has to deal with this, and I have to deal with this, and I couldn't believe it. And he didn't want to have anything to do with it. I mean, he got very aggressive to the point of, losing his temper, and I'm sure he would have got mad and threw me on the ground and or put me in cuffs if I got any questioned him anymore, for sure.
For yourself, we've got really amazing supporters at Rebel News who really have the same desire as us to allow our country to be free and to respect human rights, especially in such a chaotic time. And so they have come together with us to create an assembly line of lawyers. So by the donations of our people here, we are able to help hundreds of people like you. We don't get to every report. We're interviewing you. But would you like to accept our help for our top line lawyers to help you fight those fines, since they're ridiculous?
I love that. I mean, it's been a tough go for a lot of people. I'm probably, one of many, many people that, have lost their jobs because of COVID. And I've been out of work since March of last year. So it's been very difficult. And as you know, not having a paycheck as well is difficult to fight fines and pay rent, So I certainly appreciate anything that you could do, or I certainly would love to be in court with a proper lawyer, which I never had in my life. So certainly would appreciate that.
Well, we're happy to team up with you. And like I said, hundreds of other people. You mentioned how hard it is to keep a job during these times. And now you've been booted out of your gym, right? Am I right? They canceled your membership over this too.
Yeah, they canceled my membership. And the funny thing is that you have to sign a release form, and they took it upon themselves to forge my signature, and which time, giving them permission to cancel my membership. But
wow.
Yeah, that was signed by one of the employees, which I also have documentation of. No, they didn't hear anything of it.
Thank you so much, Victor, for being a part of this report and hopefully making a difference in how businesses respond to the face covering mandate. I know everybody is worried about losing their job and losing their business, but that doesn't mean we need to lose sight of human rights.
Yeah, we're losing, people need to wake up. People are losing their freedom of speech, freedom of expression, our rights. And it's scary out there, really scary.
I agree. Well, if you want to be a part of fighting the good fight, standing on the right side of history, we ask you to join us and help us arm our team of top-notch lawyers to help people fight their fines by heading to fightthefines.com. And I should add, it's become bigger than what we imagine. It's not even just fines anymore. In some cases, people are getting charged, or as you saw with Victor, arrested. And so some other issues come up. So if you really want to make a difference with that, please head to fightthefines.com. We appreciate your support.
Now, we have already been getting started on fulfilling our commitments to help fight the fines of 1,000 Canadians, not just churches, but for Canadians who are receiving tyrannical fines for things like attending protests or not wearing masks when they are medically exempt from doing so. You can help support this commitment that we've made by donating towards our legal team at fightthefines.com. We appreciate your support.